It's the second season of the Magical Mommy Monday podcast. Jen and Angela are two moms raised on Disney magic, figuring out parenthood one day, one milestone, and sometimes one meltdown at a time. Thanks for listening and enjoy this week's new episode.
So I was debating whether I wanted to talk about this just because it's personal and some people feel weird about birth control, but
Right.
I have the IUD. It's the Mirena, for those wondering. There's the IUD that has a hormone in it, and that's what I have. And then there's like the copper one that doesn't. Giving a little education course on birth control here. I went on it because I went on it. I had it put in.
Implanted into
I
your
have it
uterus.
implanted. I was on birth control at one point, like the pill form. But I suspected that they were making my migraines worse.
Yeah.
So I stopped taking that. And then after we had our second child, I had the IUD put in. And it's great on a lot of
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle, I'm like getting nervous. I'm like, is this allowed? Is this taboo? Can we talk about this? But you know what? We have a female vice president now. So I feel like
Exactly.
we can talk about it.
Whatever. And you can always edit it out later if you don't.
Exactly. I'm getting political. Okay. So I've had the IUD and it's great on a lot of fronts. Thank you, Jen, for helping me speak well.
Sure.
But I feel like there are just side effects with the IUD that people do not talk about. And whether I just turned a blind eye and was like, this is the greatest fun birth control ever, or people just don't talk about it. I don't know. But I have noticed 3 side effects that I have not enjoyed with the IUD. So after 5 years, which is when you're supposed to get it out anyway, I am getting it out. And the 3 I have noticed is my migraines have gotten worse exponentially. And I have chronic migraines anyway, but like I'm talking like over half the month without interventions.
Yeah, no, that's not okay.
Right. Like horrible. Like it was bad in college, twice as bad with this. Acne, like worse than I ever had in high school or college. I'm talking cystic acne that does not come to a head, that hurts, red everywhere. And my anxiety has been worse. Now, the anxiety thing I attributed to like a postpartum thing. I just thought, I had my son, I had a little prepartum, like when I was pregnant, I had anxiety, but the postpartum anxiety didn't really start till about a year after I had my son. And I got the IUD in probably 4 months postpartum.
Yeah.
So when you consider like it activating and you getting used to everything, it kind of lines up.
Well, yeah, because and how long does it take for you to really like shake all the hormones from pregnancy anyway? I mean, that doesn't go away overnight. So your body is like adjusting for a while regardless.
And I stopped nursing at the 1 year mark too. 13 months.
Yeah.
And that's when I noticed it kicked in. And so I went to the dermatologist last week. And people are going to be like, she sounds nutso, but whatever. So I went to the dermatologist last week and I'm telling her, I'm like, I am 31. I'm still getting this cystic acne. I was on a medication for it, but I went off of it for a various reason. And I do not want to look like I'm going through puberty for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what do you use for birth control? And I told her, she's like, you are the 4th person today that I have seen who has acne and has the IUD. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that is funny. And I said, the last time it was really, really this bad was when I was pregnant with my son. She's like, well, that would make sense. It's the same hormones.
Yeah.
And so long story short, very, very long story, just long story. I'm getting my IUD removed. So this is a little bit of a PSA, the more you know, is there are side effects. Yeah. There's one other one that I'm really not going to talk about because that'd just be like too much into it. But those are the top 3 that I've noticed that's gotten worse since being on the IUD. But I also had a second baby, raising toddlers, like grief was mixed in there the past 5 years. We had a huge election, a pandemic. So it's like, I don't know anymore, but I'm going to get it out next month. So we will do a follow-up maybe like 3 months after,
Yeah.
and we'll see how everything is.
And I'll be like, hey, Angela, how are you feeling?
And I'll be like, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
Yes. But to Jen's note, every single day, and it kind of makes me feel like the worst friend ever. Every single day, she texts me and she's like, hi, how are you feeling? Which, again, ever the narcissist, I automatically take personally. And I'm like, am I that bad of a friend that she has to check on me every day? It's like, well, what now, Angela? Is it the migraine? Is it the anxiety? Like, how are you feeling today? Like, it's like you're testing the waters to see how I'm going to react today. But really,
to all of the big news I drop on you daily.
oh my gosh, if I didn't just think about myself all the time, I'd realize that you are just one of those people who are just truly nice and think of others and selfless. And you're just asking me for me.
I am. Because I am in no position to be like, oh, what's wrong with you today? I am at a new doctor, monthly at this point. So who am I to talk? I'm just checking on you because I care about you.
I guess you might be doing that.
We're about to record after this the Dillo sibling reunion over on youtube.com/Dillosis. And we'll probably have to discuss this all because really this all ties into like how we handle people being nice to us and our emotions and being so emotional we're unemotional, all of it. So,
well, it's so funny you say that because I started therapy this week. Okay, just so you know, I'm eating a mint. So if I sound weird, it's because I'm eating a mint. Perfect timing. You know what? I'm taking it out because that was truly the worst timing in the world.
I couldn't even tell.
Second of all, you know that catch-up time that Jen and I tend to do for like 30 minutes before the podcast? Mm-hmm. We're having that now because, as she mentioned, we're doing a live stream in an hour.
Yeah.
We gotta
practice so we were like, well, we can catch up for a little bit. And we spent about 2 minutes. And I was like, hey, when are you getting your IUD taken out? She's like, I want to record this. Let's do it. And here we are. But this is our catch-up time.
I mean, yeah, I'm just kind of filling her in and filling you guys in at the same time. So am I going to regret this? Possibly. But you know what? YOLO.
Exactly.
No, I started therapy again this week. I am very open. We're open with our anxiety, struggles with depression in the past, those mental health issues that feel like we should talk about because the more we talk about it, the less of a big deal it is to talk about it. And talking about it, it's a huge form of relief.
Yes.
So I have started, we know I started my anti-anxiety meds, but, I've just kind of come to the realization that the medicine I have noticed so many positives, but at the end of the day, there are certain feelings that run like that I have and certain things that run through my head that are always going to be there, whether or not I have medication to help me. And I'm just, anxiety is always going to be there. And it's how I cope with it that's going to make the difference in my life and how I reframe it. So I started therapy and then I got the anti-anxiety notebook, which is also a form of cognitive behavioral therapy. So I've been using that. But another long story short, this is all having to do with one thing you said, and then I made a super long
we're here to talk. This is a podcast. We're here to talk. So it's
I'm
fine.
only making it harder on myself because I'm editing this week. So the therapist asked me that we were doing the questionnaire. It was like the intro questionnaire. She's like, do you have a lot of guilt? And I'm like, oh, every day, all day. And then I thought about you. I'm like, we always have guilt.
Yeah.
Always.
You are often yelling about me. Like, what do you have to feel guilty about? I'm like, so many things.
Like she asked, and I said, I feel like that's a pretty common thing. And she's like, well, yeah, like it's a depression question we ask. I'm like, I mean, I feel like most moms have guilt. And like
mom guilt is a term, is it not?
Yeah. And then
what have I been doing for 6 years? What have I
don't understand. Like, of course I have guilt about essentially everything. And I gave her like 5 examples, but you and I, like, we talk about that a lot. Like even you and I wanting to go to Disney, when the pandemic is under control.
Yeah.
leaving our kids for a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah, even being away.
This was like one of the things that kicked off our conversation almost 1 year ago. By the way, we are days away. Almost 1 year ago, this is what kicked off our conversation online at the Haunted Mansion,
Mhm.
or on the maybe even on the ride, but I think it was online, where you were like, and you best intentions. There. I don't know if this will come across any other way, but I know that it was.
What did I say?
You were like, so you're at home with your kids like all the time, right? And I said, yes.
I know what I said.
And you were like, how do you not go crazy? And I was like, I don't know how to answer this question. But and I still don't really know how to answer the question. But I think probably my guilt is probably can I say probably some more? Is probably an underlying thing to it. Like, for literally as long as I can remember at 7 having imaginary children and not imaginary friends. Like, the mom thing was always like, no, I want to be a mom someday and all of that. So I think in my head, I'm like, this is what I've always wanted. Like, I want to embrace it as much as possible. So obviously there are hard days, and in a pandemic when it's literally all the time, which we didn't know a year ago that was about to happen.
See that coming.
No. There are definitely harder days, but I think it's always like chalking it up to like, this time will never come again. And I know it's so cliche, and people are like, that doesn't mean I don't have hard days and I'm not stressed out and I'm not like, I need to go to Target or I need to just go to bed. At the end of the day, that absolutely happens. But I think that's always in my mind. But on that trip, especially, I talked to you about how guilty I felt, and you're like, why do you feel guilty? I'm like, because I don't do this. And I feel guilty anytime I'm like away from them, especially on a trip like that, because it's like, I got on a plane. I didn't just like go out to dinner with friends. Like, I got on a plane and went somewhere without them. And I don't want to do that, even though I'm with them all the time. And it's okay to do that sometimes, but I'm better at preaching it than practicing. So
no, and I mean, the first time I went on a plane to Disney without them, it was for work, and one of my kids had a fever, and it was like, oh, I can't do this. I'm so upset. Like, I was crying. I had to drop one off at daycare and then leave. So I get it, and I get like me telling you like, no, it's fine, it's fine. But even I still get like we what a family member had our kids overnight the other night, and I was really sad when they left.
Yeah.
I told my mom about it, and she's like, really, Angela, you've had them since March. You're sad that they're gone. Go do something with your husband.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Perspective.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, but we have a lot of guilt. That's mom guilt.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it where we have days where we like kind of lose it a little bit on the kids. And then at the end of the day, we're feeling completely guilty about it and like missing them. So I think it's probably all normal, or at least we just keep telling ourselves that.
I mean, my husband wonders why I let them fall asleep in our bed. And I mean, I think that kind of explains it, is I feel so bad for how crappy of a mom I was during the day that I'm like, here, let you fall asleep with me loving you so you know I care. I'm not complete crap.
I am very big on kind of like an Inside Out with the core memories.
Yes.
I am very big on that. Like, what if this is what they're remembering when they get older? Like, not the really fun 5 days in a row we've had. What about this moment? What if they just go, oh my God, mom was like always just losing it. I don't know. And it's like, I just had a bad day, but what if they remember this day?
I always freak out over like things my kids hear me say about myself.
Yeah.
Like, you know how sometimes you're having a bad day and you're just like, ugh, I ate too much, or I shouldn't have eaten that. I don't say that stuff often because I feel pretty good about myself, and I just, positive self-talk and stuff. But like, I try to say it privately or whatever. And if I do, and I think they're within earshot, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to think this is a reflection on them. They're going to have poor body positivity because I talked about myself like this one time. And my husband's like, Angela, you have got to calm down. Like, this is one time. I
Mhm.
don't even think she heard you because she was in the other room.
Yeah.
Like, plus you're fine.
Yeah. I know.
It's one of those things.
It is. I get it. Should we do an intro and then we can start the actual topic we had in
can do
mind?
that. Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to the Magical Mommy Monday podcast. I'm Angela Dahlgren here with my co-host, Jen Snyder.
Hello.
Last week, we talked with Stacy Peasley. And by we, I mean not me because I had a debilitating migraine. So I'm going to let Jen take over from here.
Well, first of all, I missed you so much. And, we were talking during the day and there's no way that you needed to be recording a podcast that night. Like if I had a migraine, I do not want earbuds in. I don't want lights on. I don't want anything. So the thought of that for you was making me sad. So there were two choices. I go solo or I try to bring in a guest co-host. And I was like, what if we change it up a bit? And I call in on Frank.
That was brilliant.
And I was like, let's do this. Now, unfortunately, because it was a little earlier than we normally record, he was having to mute a little bit more because his daughter was
children.
Awake, so I feel like maybe you hear me blabbing more than him, but it all worked out. And we were all from Long Island, so we were bonding. There was some Long Island talk I did cut out because it was like, okay, this is too in the weeds about Long Island. I'll cut this out. But no, she was awesome. And actually, I just signed up my 4-year-old for her little music class that we're going to start on Tuesday because we actually joined in on a free library class she was doing, I think the day after we recorded. So, my 4-year-old has been talking about her ever since. So I figured we would try out her class for a couple sessions.
That was serendipitous that she just happened to be from Long Island.
Yes.
Frank could actually join in.
Yes.
I think at that point, that's when I felt okay, not doing it because I was going to push through. And Michael was like, Angela, just take the feeling out of it. You feel bad not doing it, but like you don't feel good. Like different kind of feel. Like
yes, exactly.
Medically, you don't feel good, but take the emotion. There we go. Take the emotion out of it.
Right.
And if Jen was in the same position, take the emotion out of it. You would tell her not to do it. I'm like, okay, you're right. But this, I mean, it's like when it's the second time that you've had a migraine and haven't been able to record, you kind of feel like you're not pulling your weight a little bit. You're like, I'm the worst co-host.
Just because I'm auditioning other people to fill in your role doesn't mean anything. It's fine.
It's fine. We're going to have Lisa Kanata be the co-host soon.
I miss Lisa. I feel like I haven't talked to her. I feel like this might be the first month I haven't talked to her.
It is. She wasn't here for December, was she?
I know. It's sad.
But Frank and Jen did an amazing job. I did text Jen and say, whenever you and Frank are together, the Long Island, New York accent comes out a lot thicker.
That bothers me because I feel like we both work so hard to get rid of it. And yet,
why would you get rid of it?
I really need to bring up video of me. I mean, you saw little Jen.
I've seen Christmas Jen.
But I need to bring up like my high school video.
Yes.
Of me with my fake nails and my Long Island accent. And I don't know that that's something that needed to continue in my life. And I am thankful for Disney for helping me get rid of that.
Is this like Sweet 16 Jen?
Sweet 16 Jen? Oh, well, yeah. I mean, yes. And also, but the VHS I have is from senior year Jen.
Oh my gosh. This sounds classic.
It's interesting.
I need to hear this now.
I carried around my video camera, with the little pop out lens.
Oh my gosh, were you a vlogger?
I think I was a vlogger before knowing I was a vlogger. Because obviously cell phones were barely a thing at that point because I'm really old. And so I carried around my video camera for senior week and stuff like that. So there's some video of me.
I just started season 5 of Schitt's Creek because I did a couple seasons and then I took a break because I just wasn't in a good place.
Yeah.
I need to make myself better before I can continue
Schitt's
Creek. And then the past week I've been very much back on a Schitt's Creek train and I've really It's like a new appreciation for it. The characters have really developed in season 3 and 4.
Yes.
There's a huge development. I've enjoyed the show more. Patrick, I like kind of plain at the beginning, but he walked out and immediately stole my heart along with David's.
They might be my favorite TV couple. And if they're not, then I need to think about who's worthy of being above them because they're at least in like the top 3 or whatever, but I love them so much.
I mean, Meredith and Christina from Grey's Anatomy.
See, I'm not a Grey's person.
Okay, did you even watch it, Jen? Like, did you even give it a fair chance?
I didn't.
I watched it at least 30 times.
Right, I didn't. I've probably seen an episode. I won't even say episodes. I've probably seen an episode, and that was a really long time ago. I have not watched it.
Okay, so if you feel like, you are all showed out from any other shows,
right?
I will watch it episode for episode with you.
Oh.
So we can talk about it.
We might have to do that as a spin-off podcast. And we just...
Oh my God!
Here's the thing. And if we're keeping this in, nobody out there take this idea. I have been telling my husband for years. It started as a blog. It has transferred over to a podcast that he needs to watch every episode of Sex and the City, which he's done actually. And then do his commentary because his commentary is hilarious and he has so much anger towards Carrie. And I just feel like more people need to hear it from him. And so I've been saying that for years. So that's what made me think maybe me and you need to do a play-by-play, episode-by-episode podcast of Grey's Anatomy.
It's my birthday early. Oh my gosh. Okay. If you wanted to create a TV show podcast,
yeah,
I would do the Sex and the City one with you. Unless that's a you and Jay thing, then I would not take that away from you. But if you wanted to do the Grey's Anatomy one, tomorrow I would start that. And we could go episode by episode because I call myself, I would be like the Grey's Anatomy seasoned pro veteran, seen it a million times. I have that angle. You have the brand new
newbie
who hasn't been sucked in since 2003-ish.
Yeah, no.
Okay. You let me know. Or if you want this podcast to become that, you guys just let us know.
Oh, yeah. We'll just transfer right over. So we have a topic, but I feel like it does tie into the hodgepodgeness of this episode because this is things, that's not a sentence. These are things that we would be texting each other anyway. So something you recently texted that I did not respond to until about 3 days later, where I was like, oh, I don't think I responded to her text except in my head, which I do a lot. Do you do that? Do you see a text or a message and I respond, but I actually don't type it?
I do it with every one of your TikToks.
That's true. I normally don't get a response from you when I send you TikToks. And I'm like, but that was a really good one. Did she even see it?
Because I see it and it's like, I don't know if I can watch this around my kids. So I'm watch it later when I'm on the toilet. Yeah. And so I'll watch it and then I'll forget to write you back because I'm like, I'm going to write her this later.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. And I have thought about that because there was one I was going to send you and I don't think I did. And I was going to put in, don't watch this around the kids because of the language involved. I don't like when the TikToks, just as a side note on TikToks, when you're scrolling through and you're hearing the same songs over and over, but then one just starts with an F-bomb. And I'm like, you see, you didn't warn me and the kids are in earshot. And now they're going to know these words because of TikTok and not because of me. And are people even going to believe that it's because of TikTok and not because of me? I don't know.
That was kind of the thing with Schitt's Creek is that I thought I could watch it in front of the kids. And then occasionally they kind of throw in an F-bomb, which when I'm not around my kids, I use frequently. Yes. But when my kids are around, it's very like, oh, darn it.
Yeah.
So I can no longer watch Schitt's Creek in front of my kids.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or go on TikTok.
Yeah, I know. It's rough. I try to lower it sometimes, hold it. I'm like, what is that? What are they saying?
It's good.
I know it's not. Absolutely not.
But we did kind of not really talk about this in text messages.
Yes.
Feeding our children. I mean, it's something we obviously do.
Right. I guess we have to.
We need to keep them alive somehow. So we do feed our children, but I just feel like I am feeding them, especially for breakfast and lunch, the same thing over
Yeah.
and over and over again.
So what will they eat for breakfast and lunch?
Okay. So breakfast is either like Eggo waffles
Mhm.
or cereal or oatmeal or a breakfast bar. And then I kind of like rotate.
Mhm.
Or like if I have a migraine, I'm like, go get a breakfast bar. And then they'll have like a piece of fruit with any of these. And then for lunch, it is either, and these are things like if it's not leftovers for lunch, but for lunch, it's either peanut butter and jelly
Mhm.
or hummus and pretzels or cheese. And then like, I always try to do like a fruit, a vegetable, a protein, and a carb.
Mhm.
But like hummus and pretzels, cheese and crackers, or peanut butter and jelly.
Mhm.
That's it. And I
Yeah.
need ideas, but it's like I have a mental block against looking for ideas.
Right.
And my kids don't eat lunch meat, so I can't do lunch meat.
Yeah.
And they
Mhm.
don't like macaroni and cheese
Mhm.
like normal children do.
Mhm.
So I don't know what to feed them. What about you?
So I think breakfast wise, it's the same as you. My 4-year-old will rotate more. She has more of the like she'll eat oatmeal, where my son will not eat oatmeal. Even
Oh,
though for the first year of his life, I mean, he lived on oatmeal, maybe the
right.
first
It's
2
all
years,
they
I don't
ate.
know, but not anymore. So he is more of like a waffles kid.
Yeah.
He'll do Cheerios, but not with milk in it. He'll do dry Cheerios. But then they'll have like fruit, I'll do like blueberries or strawberries or something like that,
Mhm.
apple, whatever, as well.
Yeah.
But my daughter will eat more. And she sometimes has multiple breakfasts. So like then once he like logs on for school, she's like, I'm still hungry.
Yep.
Can I have another breakfast? Yeah. So then lunch though, same. So my son is funny because he is all about the fruits and veggies. Like he has no problem eating those, but he's also a picky eater. So it's hard
Oh,
to change him out of his routine. So literally from like nursery school until I don't know, maybe January of last year in kindergarten, he was having a hummus sandwich for lunch every single day. Like that's what he brought to school.
what's in a hummus sandwich?
It's just hummus on bread.
Not
Just
even
hummus.
toast?
He'll do hummus toast, yes. But if he was
Ooh.
going to school, I would just do it on bread, so like the toast didn't get all weird
Yeah,
by the time
mushy. Yeah,
lunch.
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But he will do hummus toast as well. And then like carrots or peppers or just
So
something
he'll
on the
eat
side.
peppers
Oh
too.
yes, not
Wow.
spicy peppers, but yes, just regular
Yeah.
peppers he will eat. Cucumbers, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So he finally got out of it. Like it was probably actually closer to school shutting down last year because I remember going, oh my God, like what am I going to feed you if you don't want hummus anymore? But he will eat peanut butter and jelly and all of that. But he was like, I don't want to bring that to school. So then I started getting like the Campbell soup, like the Paw Patrol and all of those, like they're Paw Patrol shaped Campbell's soup.
Okay, how did you keep those warm all day? Because I tried the thermos trick and it like did not stay warm.
So here's the thing with my kids. They want soup. They love it. Want me to buy it all the time. They don't want the broth and they don't want any of the little chicken pieces in it. They
Oh, they
just
just
want
want
the
the
wet
noodles.
noodles.
Okay.
So where I did heat it up and I would put it in the thermos, I don't think he ever even cared what it was like by the time he got to lunch.
They just ate the noodles.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's how my daughter gets it too. So sometimes I'll have that for lunch too, and I'll do that, and I'll have like some crackers and then some like veggies. Some days though, where I'm like, oh my God, it's so annoying. I'll just give them like a bunch of crunchy fruits and veggies, like celery. Maybe I'll put some peanut butter on the celery, do the little ants on a log thing with some raisins, apples, carrots, like peppers, whatever, and just have them go to town with that. They will have rice cakes as well.
Ooh, I never think about rice cakes. That's a good idea.
My son is more of like the lightly salted rice cake where my daughter will eat like any flavor of rice cake and I'll put like peanut butter on it, or she'll sometimes do cream cheese, sometimes
Ooh,
hummus, or they'll have like pretzels and hummus too. They'll do that some
yeah.
days too. So they change it up a little bit. But yeah, it's so hard because I also feel like it's so boring. I'm just rambling. My daughter used to be an amazing eater. Like she was a year. I think I have a video right now on my time hop where she just turned a year old and she's just kind of like gnawing on a chicken wing. Like she would eat anything. She would eat spaghetti and meatballs and sauce and all of it. And she would have Indian food and she would eat
Oh my God.
2 Christmases ago, she ate about half a dozen baked clams. Like,
Oh my gosh.
yes, she was eating everything. And I don't know if it was the pandemic. Apparently, I didn't cook fancy enough. Not that I ever did, but she like got out of it and she went into kid mode of like, now I'm picky. I don't want sauce on anything. She used to call ketchup boop. Like she kind of started my son on it. Like he never really did it too much, but she would do it more. She called it boop. We now refer to ketchup as boop all the time. She doesn't even realize she started it because she doesn't want anything to do with it anymore. So yeah, it's kind of weird, but that's kind of breakfast and lunch around here, I guess.
So I always said that I wouldn't have a picky eater because in my family growing up, we just kind of ate what my mom had. And she's like, if you don't want it, you can have cereal.
Yeah.
And that was just it. Like you either eat what I made or you have cereal. Like
yeah.
She had 4 kids. She worked full time. She's like, I ain't got time for this. I'm not a short order cook. And then my son was born and just only ate breakfast bars and applesauce for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, like he will not eat anything else. Yeah. But I decided I was not going to raise a picky eater, no matter what. So this is what I do with my children. If you are having issues with a picky eater, and I don't know, this is not me necessarily giving advice because this might not work for your kid out there. And I'm sorry if it doesn't, it just happened to work for my kids. Is I just offer them whatever we have for dinner. I just put one piece on their plate and they have to try a bite of everything, but they don't have to have any more past that if they don't like it.
Yeah.
Because the hope, it's a little bit of exposure therapy, honestly, is that the hope is that one day their palate will change and they might like it. And sure enough, 2 years later, my son is suddenly enjoying everything on his plate, where before would not.
Yeah.
More than a bite. It would take forever for him to even try it. It would be cold by the time he'd try it. But it's like, all I'm asking is for one bite. It can be just a little nibble with your teeth. I'm not being that mean parent who's like, you have to finish all your cooked carrots before you leave the table. Like,
yeah.
I don't even think that's a mean parent. I mean, it's vegetables. I'm only saying that because I was at a friend's house when I was little and I gagged when I had cooked carrots and they made me sit and eat all of the cooked carrots at their house on my plate and I couldn't leave the table at our house until I was done with them.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I never there's a picture of me at 7 holding up a clean plate because that was like the first time I ever finished everything on my plate because I just never did. I still don't really do that. So I'm weird like that. But I did the same thing with my kids with Thanksgiving. I put everything we had for Thanksgiving like on their plate and was like, I am telling you guys, you will like it if you try it. And like, of course, there was a big fight about it. And ultimately, they did like it. They wouldn't really admit to it too much. Right. They were like, there, I took a bite. Like they, whatever. But my son, my son is pickier about meats than like my daughter is. So
is it a texture or like
I think so. I think it's a texture thing. So he will eat a chicken nugget. He will not eat a chicken tender. He will eat a chicken nugget, or he will eat the popcorn chicken, like Purdue.
So
that's so good.
Oh my gosh.
My daughter will eat the popcorn chicken, but not a chicken nugget. But they'll both eat burgers for the most part, just a plain patty, not like a actual like cheeseburger. Yeah, a patty. And then they have both recently agreed to eating like frozen meatballs that like you can just pick up in the frozen food section. So I'm like, oh,
meatballs.
I know. Well, and I've made meatballs. They don't really want anything to do with those. But a frozen meatball that are tiny and like, I don't know, they'll eat those. So,
Interesting. See, you're giving
yeah.
me a lot of ideas. Dinner,
I
I
know.
just kind of make what I'm gonna make, you
Yeah.
know?
Mm-hmm.
But
But
this
that's
is
good.
But you know what? Like it's that I think I sent you that meme on that I found on Instagram where it's like kids have two stomachs. They
Mm-hmm.
have the dinner stomach, which
Yeah.
holds basically nothing. And then they have the bottomless pit, which is the snack stomach.
Yeah.
And that is my kids. My kids graze all day. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's like 30 minutes before dinner. I see my son waltzing over to the pantry. I'm like, nope, nope, I am making dinner right now. But I
Yeah.
want this granola bar. Nope, nope, go
Yeah.
back over there.
Yeah.
You have to just draw the line somewhere.
I know. Well, and it's so funny. My son will eat like 10 chicken nuggets and like an entire pepper and be like, I'm hungry. Can I have a snack? I'm like,
I
I
know.
mean, yeah, because you just ate 10 chicken nuggets and a whole pepper. How am I going to like say that you can have a snack after that? But how are you hungry?
No,
It's
like
crazy.
that's actually like that must be a boy thing. Like that's
Yeah.
actually I was thinking about getting my kid's thyroid checked because the kid who ate nothing for 4 years suddenly eats everything and is like sweating a lot and
Uh-huh.
still really tiny. And I'm like, do we need to like get some blood work done? Like I
I
was
know.
serious. My mom mentioned it too. But I think boys just eat a lot. And I
Yeah.
should know this because I grew up around them. But having
Hmm.
my own, it's like, oh,
I
okay,
know.
this is new.
Well, yeah, and that's what's weird with him. For his last annual, he had grown 6 inches in a year,
Oh
but he
my
had
gosh.
only gained 3 pounds. So, like, that's where all the food was going, was just stretching him out. But he hadn't like put on any more. I'm like, okay,
And he's gotten taller. My son
yes,
has. He's gotten taller. So I
mm-hmm,
bet that's it. It's just
yeah,
going into his feet and stretching him out.
exactly. Yeah, I know it's tough. And like my daughter's big on pasta. They'll both eat rice. They'll both
Oh
eat
yeah.
like chickpeas. Sometimes they'll eat black beans.
Do you make
Sometimes,
like chickpeas as a like how do you prepare them? Do you put
I
them on
just
things?
yeah, no, because that's the other thing with them. They don't really want things mixed.
Oh,
Although my daughter will eat like chili and sometimes there's a bunch of different beans in the chili I'll
yeah.
make or whatever. But no, if I do the like chickpeas, I'll just rinse them and just put them on their plate as like a
Uh-huh.
side to something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My kids are really into tomato soup right now. And
Hmm.
like the Lipton's extra noodle soup
Oh,
in the
that's so good.
box.
Yeah, with extra salty broth.
Oh my gosh. Like
So good.
like prime sick
Yes.
vitamins.
Yes.
Just
Exactly.
so good. And then they have like an entire sleeve of saltine crackers.
Yes. Well, you have to.
And then I have the other sleeve because
And
I'm
then you have to drink
finishing.
so much water after
Oh
that.
my gosh.
Just deplete
I
it.
know. You're like,
Yeah,
this broth should have hydrated me. Why am I still thirsty?
I know.
You know what? My daughter, I think, is part elf because she cannot get enough sugar. Like
Mm-hmm.
every day, she's like, can I have some candy? Can I have some cookies?
Yeah.
And like you draw the like I don't know, like where do you draw the line between being like it's okay to have sometimes and like you
Yeah.
don't want to like say no and
Right.
then give her weird food issues, but at the same time it's like but you kind of had candy yesterday and the day before and the day before that,
Yeah.
know.
We
Uh,
made chocolate chip pancakes one weekend
ooh,
as like a fun little thing. So then all of a sudden my daughter was like, "Can I have chocolate chip waffles?" We're like, we don't," but we had chocolate chips. So now she'll be like, "I had chocolate chips on my waffles this morning," and she'll have like 3 little chips, and like, okay, sure. She's like, "Can I have more?" No. "Can we put it in Cheerios?" No. You're not
no,
just having chocolate chips all the
it's not
time.
it's not a breakfast item.
Yeah.
It's a special
By
thing.
the way, we're cutting you off of this soon. Thanks. But yeah,
We're
she
not
has
buying
way more of a
chocolate
sweet
chips.
tooth than my son does. But my son had a dairy allergy literally until like last year when he finally grew out of it. So he's also real hesitant
Mhm.
to even try certain foods. He'll like, "Is this dairy?" I'm like, "Yes, but it's okay if you eat it." "No, no, no." But now, like, because since then, if he has tried dairy, like, it kind of upsets his stomach a little bit because he hasn't eaten it in 6 years. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, he just never had it. So it's more of his body needs to get adjusted, but he doesn't want anything to do with it. But
Annie was like that too, and so was I as a kid. And we kind of deduced with me, and
mm-hmm,
it's what we're doing with Annie, is we can both have like one serving.
mm-hmm,
And past that, it upsets our stomach.
yeah,
But I guess we should wrap this up because we have a
Yeah.
live stream to get
Oh,
to.
yeah, we do.
Makes us sound
it
so
up.
popular.
Yeah. If you guys
So
have
many things to do.
some lunch ideas though, send them our way. And not fancy
Please.
lunch. We can't
No.
like picky
No.
eater, keep the food separated type
Very
lunch.
low maintenance
Yes.
lunch.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. I don't have my outro in front of me. So if you want to follow us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, we will put our handles in the show notes because I can't remember them right now. So I hope you're having a great day, night, whatever you're doing, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Magical Mommy Monday podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Magical Mommy Monday, on Twitter at Magic Mom Monday, or you can email us at magicalmommymondays@gmail.com. The music you heard on this episode was produced by Matt Harvey. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.